very known in the events world. You were the influencer before influencer was even a thing.
The OG, mama.
Yes. Who is Timur?
I'm basically sitting here like, hey, Google, who is Timur? I have always been an experiential learner. I took my event, my social media, and my creative experience, and I applied it to this multi-million-dollar business, and I was able to increase revenue through an events and social media strategy. San Francisco was like party, work hard, parties, lots of drugs, lots of alcohol, to balance all this erraticness. I just want it to be over because I was going through such a hard time. In the middle of the night, I slipped and shattered my skull into 18 pieces. They got me conscious to be like, we either operate or you probably will die. It took me many months after this accident to remember that I was roofied. Blackout visions later in some neighborhood street being raped. The biggest lesson was taking accountability for my choices. Like, I'm not the victim any longer. And that's one thing. You are all in control of your own life. Like, I am literally living my dream right now, you guys.
To work in the marketing campaigns that you do, the different projects that what do you look out for?
You need to be mindful when PR agencies are the gatekeeper. You are reflecting us as much as you are reflecting you. I had extremely stressful experiences with clients about the influencers that I brought in.
Give me an example of the attitude.
Okay, 2 things.
Timur, welcome to the Start of Thriving podcast.
Thank you.
I feel like you're very known in the influencer and events world, right? But just like for me, I feel like not everyone knows exactly what you do, right? Because you do so many things, right?
Right.
So tell me what exactly you do and who is Timur?
I'm basically sitting here like, hey, Google, who is Timur? No, but in all honesty, thank you for having me, by the way. And you're absolutely right. I am certainly a public personality that presents a variety of things curated and purposeful to audiences, whether it's on social media, on television, or in person at major events. So that's the tip of the iceberg. So professionally speaking, first and foremost, both design, specifically interiors, and fashion, specifically styling, those were almost the foundation of my professional development, which then translated into my personality, which would bring attention to things like that, and eventually other things like bars, clubs, restaurants, boutiques. Long story short, this has culminated into both design career, an artistic career, a fashion career, marketing career, public relations career, social media personality, stage personality, television personality. So basically from my personality and all of that crazy journey back to personality, that's a nice high-level overview of who I am as a professional person, I guess.
Yeah, you just have so many layers to you. And I love that because, people, they're always telling us, like, you have to niche down. You have to have a certain niche. You have to pick one thing, right? And why? Like, we can do different things. We can multitask, right? And I feel like you kind of have found this way to utilize it and optimize it all in your life.
Right.
So it all works like kind of as this big network, right?
You do bring up a very good point though, Ellen. So people in general, this is a generalization, by the way, this isn't shade and this is certainly not judgment. People, the recipient of information, they aren't as complexly receiving. So sometimes they cannot handle a high frequency narrative. So you do need to, from a marketing or message disbursement position, niche down. One of the latest trends for social media brand marketing and individual brand marketing, so like a personal brand, is to develop numerous accounts under one umbrella that focus in and on niching down your narrative. So if you're a comedian, if you're an artist, if you're a businessman, if you're a designer, if you are a thought-leading inspirational speaker, it can get confusing and clouding, specifically both algorithmically and on the human side, understanding who are you brand, who are you individual. So it's not a bad point also. And that tip of the iceberg that I was alluding to about who I present as a professional individual, influencer, event host, that is a niche down narrative. It's a niche down purposeful public narrative, which goes in potential contrast as well as complement to my personal narrative,
Yeah.
which is multifaceted and layered and dynamic, like you were saying.
I think what I'm taking from everything that you're saying is that you can have all those many facets about you, but you have to be intentional about it, right? So it's not even like just about the niche, it's about being intentional with everything that you do.
Right.
And we can definitely see that with
Right.
everything you do. So, yeah.
Well, as a marketer, this is more the marketing me and not the designer in me, although they do correlate. Design is 100% about purposeful outcome. You cannot design that Ferris wheel or that boat or this building, this table, or this chair without 1,000,000% intention. Screw enters this hole, turns this way. It must. Obviously, sometimes it's not as loose or as tight, but it has to end up that way. And from a marketing standpoint, in order to engage with your audience, which is the most important asset to any individual or brand, you need to be selective and articulate about the language that you select in digestible short form, which can resonate with thousands of people to get that same point across. Purposeful intention without being overly contrite or direct.
I feel like that's exactly the reason why I overthink so much every single thing I post, because there's just so much that goes into it, into every single word, right? You just have to put so much thought, and you're like, okay, how is this gonna hit them? In what way? What feeling is it going to spark? Like, so many things. What's like one thing about you that people would not expect? Like a fun fact.
Oh man, it's just so interesting because as a public extrovert and a natural extrovert, lately in my life, I've been thinking a lot about this point. But ironically, I really enjoy being a loner, which is very odd even for me in my age. I spend so much time both digitally and IRL in front of so many people giving my energy that at this point, like, I love when I can just hang out with my beautiful doggy at my beautiful home and like just do me and soak in my whatever, my fabulous. It just like, it's so weird to me, but this is who I've become in my 40s, is this individual, if that makes sense.
But I think a lot of people nowadays, they are learning that they need to protect their energy, and it's important to have the time alone to recharge as well. And I think you don't necessarily need to be a loner or even an introvert. I'm an introvert. I love to be alone. I love it. If I don't have that at least like once a week, I will start going crazy. You can tell. So it's very important. But also I feel like for everyone nowadays, I hear so many people say things like that, like they need to have their time alone. I think people are learning to protect their energy. But I want to dress because we didn't. Yes. Tell me everything about this gentleman here.
Okay, so the real star of the show is my baby boy and my best friend in the entire world, my little doggy Wiley, right here, who's being such a good boy and just chilling out with us right now. He knows when it's time to go, like being a media doggy, but he's not an influencer. I don't have a doggy account.
Oh, really?
I know, it's so crazy for someone that's producing content all the time. He definitely makes many guest appearances in my content though. But I rescued Wiley when I was living in San Francisco a little over 9 years ago. He's like the COO of my personal and professional brand, I guess. Right, Wiley? He's wagging his tail.
Love that. So I want to talk a little bit more about your career. And, you touched on that a little bit in the beginning and how it has kind of evolved, right? In so many ways. Can you just kind of give me a little bit of that timeline just so we can understand how did we get here?
So for those of you who don't know me, I turn 41. So I have a handful of years of professional adult experience under my belt. My first job ever was at The Gap in high school. in
Gap store.
the Gap. Yeah, the Gap store.
Ah.
So I was a retail queen through and through. And honestly, like I dream of going back to the retail environment. I just love interacting with people one-on-one and actually getting to help everyone out tangibly.
Uh-huh.
And that really is my favorite part of just in general how I implement my business to this day, whether it's working with small business or individuals or large scale audiences. I love to that handoff. I love to interact. I love to bring joy. Or
You're a giver.
I guess I am. I never thought of it that way, but
There
I
you
guess I'm a
go.
giver. Oh, that's so sweet. I love that.
The
He's a
title.
giver. Come on, giver in
Yes.
charge.
Coin that.
Giver in charge. Done and done. My first corporate job, ironically, I was talking about this with one of your team earlier who's from Denmark, was working with Bo Concept, which is a very well-known furniture brand out of Denmark, global brand, as a sales associate and interior designer, which is what I studied in school, interior design. I was very proud to be top in global sales 2 years in a row as a 23-year-old and a 24-year-old. I was very proud. It was such a big accomplishment for me. All whilst also having my own business that I started in 2005, which was interiors and events. So like party promotion, PR stuff in essence. But it really started in nightlife. And then it did transpire throughout the recession into normal experiential marketing and PR like events. Retail boutique trunk shows, Botox parties, fitness classes, community events and engagements, things like that.
What year was that? Around what
So I
time?
started this business in 2005. I left Bo Concept. I put in my 2 weeks, October 1st, 2008, and the stock market collapsed on October 15th or 7th, something like that. So it was an interesting time for me to put in my 2 weeks because in hindsight, if I had not done that, perhaps it wouldn't have been such a wild roller coaster during the recession and economic collapse. I still would have had some sort of compensation and some sort of health insurance.
But it never feels like the right time.
Yeah.
And do you look back and you see that moment as it was actually the right time? Or do you like, damn, like I should have waited
Honestly,
a little bit?
no regrets. Literally no regrets. Like if you live in the land of potential maybe could haves, you are not in the right headspace to move forward. And we have one life to live and one present timeline. And that timeline is now, in any moment of any day. Literally.
True.
The one thing we will ever know is the current moment.
Yeah.
The past is no longer, and the future never will be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these are things though, and again, age and hindsight and context, you know, I have looked back in periods in my life to, oh, I should not have done that, or I should not have done that. But at the end of the day, I am who I am as an exact result of all the decisions I've made, the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever that is. You know, I've certainly have made other decisions that I call my marvelous failures, you know, or like my fabulous failures or my successful failures, like that. Those
Tell
are the
me a little bit about that.
I mean, whether it was things that contributed to my sobriety, for example, like driving under the influence, you know, and like getting arrested for that, like more than once. Like those things are lessons that needed to be learned to better develop myself as a person, personally and professionally. Boundaries, that helped me learn boundaries. That also helped me learn how to manage myself and my wild personality and that career as I was building this business of my own, especially during the recession when that was the one job I had to rely on. Nightlife was a huge part of this. So like being this glamazon, which I already was, and that's how I got in that position. I was a socialite, popular college student, popular in my community. Businesses asked me to do this.
You were the influencer before influencer was even a thing.
The OG, mama.
Yes.
The OG, like the OG on MySpace, on Facebook. She was taking ads out in the community newspapers.
Oh my
like that's how it
God.
was. And being featured in print publications, whether it was Nightlife or Socialite or like luxury lifestyle publications. That was what was like your claim to fame. Carrie Bradshaw being a columnist, that was a blogger. That was an influencer. Like, you know, these
true.
things have evolved into different mediums, but same, different day. you know?
Are there any differences that you see from where it is now? I mean, I'm sure it's easier now, right? Like to be an influencer just because you.
The pool is much bigger. Like everyone's an influencer. Audience definition is very different. Like people that have the career of influencer, which you take creative collaborations and partnerships to implement some sort of marketing execution in order to achieve an outcome and communicate that to and influence and inspire your audience to do outcome B. That's one way of looking at it. People with large followings that are beautiful. Do you use your platform as influencing, or do you just have a large audience, you know? And if you do have a large audience, are you taking collaborations and partnerships like that? Yes or no? How do we define this? Editors, bloggers, still to this day, like to me, running a PR agency, like that is a major influence. Do people value editorial as much and media placements? Yes, no. Honestly, just the way that media has expanded and how we connect as communities. Back in the day, like my job, like I was out all the time, literally IRL networking, literally working it. Like I needed to make sure that you all knew who I was. And that even reflected on how digital communities like Facebook was created at first. It was built around personal relationships, you know, so it's people you know. Friend request, literally, you know? MySpace wasn't that way. Friendster kind of was that way, but not really. Like it still was that model. But things like Twitter and Instagram came up and you could really follow strangers. Like, you know, that was the point.
Did you easily adapt into that, or did you feel like there was a little bit of resistance and into like going to that digital world?
I mean, you need to be comfortable and accustomed to communicating in new ways, and platforms, technology platforms specifically, push a unique form of communication. So you either A, need to understand that and grasp it, or B, learn it, or C, try to make fetch happen and realize that like, oh wait, what I'm saying on Facebook doesn't translate to 140 characters on, or 240 now on Twitter, you know? Speaking with a photo, it's different. Like if you scroll back to my OG Instagram, it was like a lot of Asian noodles and like a lot of like random selfies, you know, which weren't curated to today's standards of self-brand management. I could unpack that a lot, but we won't do that right now. And then with the evolution of new form content like short form TikTok and a different type of community vibe, where it's all about strangers, communicating and connecting with strangers, and sharing a laugh with strangers, or sharing message dissemination with strangers. That's what I love about that algorithm. It's like, oh my God, I don't have to communicate with people that I know. I get to communicate with new audience all the time. Honestly, I've been really thinking about this a lot lately. I have really enjoyed the TikTok side of getting to know people who have zero context of who I am.
Oh my God. I'm so glad you're talking about this, because I feel like when it was like that moment that people were wondering if I was going to be banned, I was terrified of that part. I was like, this is how I get to see, because I'm a filmmaker, right? I'm from the film world. And I feel like, you know, Hollywood obviously has its barriers for people to actually get their content out there and get their, you know, and on TikTok, you will see this 70-year-old woman doing content, and she is amazing at it. She's doing art, and she's being able to do it, and people appreciate it. And that's one of the things I really, really love about TikTok, that I feel like not everyone, especially the people that are not on TikTok, they don't know about that. Right. They're like, oh, it's about dancing and stuff. Like, no, it used to be.
It's so much.
It's a whole other thing right now. We get access to so much, so many like different cultures too, right? So I just love it.
Well, let's unpack this conversation a little bit more, because its censorship and moderation on TikTok has gone next level out of control.
It's changing.
So some of your questions that we've talked about in the past is about like, you know, curating your audience or this or that. I welcome getting to know each and every person within my audience. My audience tends to be not people of strong political difference to me. However, if you are, the best type of conversations that we have is when we can disagree.
Yes.
You know, and actually talk through our disagreement. It doesn't mean we need to agree at the end of that conversation, but what a big sign of respect when we can have a conversation and really get to know each other's perspective.
Yes.
You know, those are the type of conversations I love to have, especially being from Washington, D.C. originally.
Oh, I'm sure. Yes.
You know?
People, both sides, they're just kind of, they just don't want to talk about that, like compared to other places.
Right.
I've lived in New York, LA,
Right.
and all those other places talks about it a
Let's
lot.
talk about Miami culture. We are here in beautiful, sunny Miami, a place where both of us choose to live, love, by the way, and thrive. You know, I think it's a really valid point that you brought up because I know we want to talk about how Miami, I've been here a while. I've been here part-time since 2009 and full-time since 2018, as you know. So I have a little experience here understanding our hyper Latino-centric and engineered culture that is South Florida and the uniqueness of that within the boundary of Miami and seeing it evolve from, I'm going to say, a humble beach town with colorful and vivacious Latin roots to a party city, to a super laid-back functioning metropolis, to a wildly insane gold rush during COVID pandemic, to a rather awkwardly toxic environment, which is this like hyper money grab sort of collective mindset, to whatever it is evolving into now. And that has been one thing that's been consistent with my relationship with Miami, is that it really is kind of always changing. You know, it's like we're at the roulette table and it's spinning and the balls are going to land on like a black or a red and we don't know what numbers it will be. And like that is kind of every day here in Miami.
Right, I can see that because also like now we have more of a mix too, right? Before, I remember hearing like a lot of people are angry about all the New Yorkers that are here, but then I heard that actually there were a lot of New Yorkers here before even the Latinos came,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Latin community came, and then I'm sure it changed a lot, and then it kind of like they kind of took it and really like I feel like it's almost like a safe haven for people that are from other countries, especially Latin America.
Mm-hmm.
And then now the New Yorkers are, back. So it's
Right.
kind of like, it's just things keep changing, right?
Right. And first of all, I can't claim this. I'm not a native Miami and I've just been here a long time and I choose to be here for the beautiful weather. And one of the main reasons that I love living in Miami is that it is a Latino culture.
Mm-hmm.
I have lived all over the world. I studied abroad in France during high school and I moved to Italy during college. And I'm of Turkish descent. So I spent a lot of time living in another country. As a grown professional adult here in America with businesses, I found it a little challenging for me to be able to remove myself fully to move to another country to learn a new culture and another language. So being here in Miami, whether it's the roots of like why society functions the way that it does here or whatever the reason, I truly enjoy being a part of an American society that's of a different culture and learning so many new things living here. I don't know necessarily if many of these newcomers are coming here for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think a lot of the newcomers are coming here for both the tax implications and the political mindset of how Florida presented itself during COVID and beyond.
Well, obviously that's a topic I can speak on with the New Miami Girls community. I feel like even for the ones that moved here about, I'd say like me 3 years ago, when I moved here, the rent and the cost of everything, they were still reasonable, right? So compared to LA where I was at, was very reasonable. And then it went up, right? So it's not necessarily for that reason. I think for the tax reasons, I think it doesn't always, balance out. You okay, so you're not paying income taxes, but at the same time, you're paying so much in rent. So I think it gets to a point, it's not even too much of an advantage. But one thing I did realize is that a lot of the people that moved here, especially the women, is because they were looking for that more of like that work-life balance. And Miami has that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you lived in other cities,
Mhm.
other parts of the world. Other places in the U.S., like New York, L.A., and those places, are just the hustle mentality is so like prevalent, right? And then you come to Miami, it's like, yes, people are working hard here, And yes, there are a lot of opportunities and people are ambitious and you can, you have to work. But at the same time, people are living.
Hmm.
I see people doing wellness. I see people going to events, going to the beach. So that, my opinion, as far as what I see, that was one of the reasons as well.
Right. And I agree. I call it coconut time. Like we definitely are like a beachside vibe. And like I was saying earlier, how I was describing Miami, it's certainly, you can certainly tell that this city has been built around being a resort. Like that is how this economy was built. And it is no longer just a hospitality economy here, which is nice. And I love that both the Latino culture and the resort vibes certainly have a different approach to cultural balance. It's very capitalist. What you were describing is very capitalist, that hustle. And this is very capitalist.
Yes.
Right? And I hear what you're saying. And then I think to myself, like, oh my gosh, I am in charge of my business and so many other businesses. I wish I had more of that work-life balance. I'm living within my own choices, of course. And I do have this beautiful playground as my back doorstep, which is also why I choose to live here. Because if I choose to turn that off, I can go to the beach any day of the year or go to an island or go to a party or go to a wellness thing like you were saying. And that's what I love about living here.
Yeah.
The balance between balance and hustle is real.
And you have, you have the options, like you said. And I think that for me, for the ones who know me, they know I never leave the house. Hardly ever. I love to work. I'm a workaholic, right? I also have many different things going on. But I feel like even if I'm walking to the grocery store, even then I feel like I'm getting the benefit, right? Of like being able to see this, being around this, the weather. So compared to like New York.
I think that's a valid point because I did just have my parents visiting me this week and it was their first time visiting me here ever in all these years that I've lived here. So thank you, parents, finally for making me feel so a part of the family in that way. But it was nice because they are other than the dog, they are my best friends. They know me the best. And so they're hearing my live stream feedback about things I'm experiencing in real time about living here. And we talked about it. We talked about my little thing you guys don't know, which is the perceived loneliness. And I'm like, no, I'm preserving my peace. This is purposeful loneliness, not like, woe is me. Number one. We also talked about my frustrations with Miami, specifically the lack of common sense, manners, politeness, and the horrible driving here, which is absolutely atrocious. It's always been this way, as well as the manner-ish thing, the common sense thing. I knew what I was signing up for. Common sense from where I come and other places I've lived. So I'm not saying it is what it is, but I just don't agree with it. I'll put it out there like that. And then they were asking me, well, where else would you live? And I'm like, honestly, like I'm here for the weather, guys. Like I love it here so much despite the things I don't like. And I think the one place, and I don't even like it as much, so sorry guys, but New York would make the most sense for me. But it's such high erratic energy for me that I'm hyper extrovert. I feel energy around me. It drives me insane and I'm already chaotic. I need like coconut vibes to balance me out. When I choose, I need that vibe and it's right here. And like the food, if you actually plug into the food scene here, like we're certainly not Paris and London and New York, but it's amazing. We have so many unique different culinary experiences and culinary perspectives here. And I love that. And I love that we do have a dynamic and diverse culture. It may not be the same as like a London where it's literally everyone from all over the world, but there are a lot of people here from different parts of the world. And that makes it really exciting. There is an art scene here, which I love being an artist, performing typical basic medium artists as well as immersive arts, It's not as big as New York, but here's another point I like to make. We are Miami. We are not New York. So stop comparing places. Like every place is what it is. Enjoy it for what it is, And that's a mindset that having struggled with comparing things in my life and going through my own journey, like, no. You did brought up this point when we talked initially, but fall in love with something new every day. If you are looking to connect and adapt with a place, whether you're 3 years new or 15 years new or a day new, or 3 months and you're struggling with the comparison syndrome, like, oh, well, I'm from New York, but it's not New York. Well, no, it's not. But find the thing you love about everyday moment and your day will always be positive and joyous,
Well, that's the thing. I mean, differently than other cities that I've lived. I feel like a lot of the people that are new here, they're not saying, "Oh, it's not New York. I miss this." I mean, of course, everyone misses the bagels. Everyone misses,
Yeah. Oh
like,
my God, I'm so hungry now.
you know, we all miss that. But at the same time, it's like they're not necessarily saying like, "Oh, New York is so much better than this and this and that." I feel like the new people here are like, this is great. Like, we're loving it. Like,
Right.
we're not complaining.
You'll notice around year 3 or 4, I'm just saying, a lot of people have that honeymoon phase of like
Mm,
1, 2, 3 full years, and then the novelty a little bit wears off. You get very, unfortunately, jaded, and you forget that the weather's gorgeous and stunning, and you forget about these horrible winters and like gray skies and gray trees and all that. And then you start to bitch about the recurring patterns, just like anywhere you would live, like it
right.
is anywhere. But I notice a lot of people that come from New York or LA or other places in the Northeast or wherever, Chicago, Canada. And it's like after year 3, I'm like, wait, where did that person go? And then I see they went back home, and it's like, yeah,
Really?
it's like a lot of people can't hang with Miami being so coconut timey or being
Mm,
so mannered in its own way,
I
or
see.
not having certain elements of functional urban society that other cities provide. It's sink or swim, baby. It's Miami.
I say a lot to my community. Things are changing. Stick with it. I mean, I'm not saying things are getting better because I know we even talked about this in the past about how it used to be like years ago in terms of like the creative scene and all those things. But I feel like things are kind of shifting. I'm noticing because I mean, I'm seeing everything, right? Like both from like the perspective of the women in my community, but their partners, but also how we used to not have certain like bands coming here. Now they're coming here, and then we have the concerts, and we're like, oh my god, like these people are coming here. I love stand up, like I love comedy. I'm starting to notice they're starting to come here. They didn't used to. I mean, maybe in the past, maybe in your time, but
No, you're not wrong.
now I think they know that all these people that moved here, like they love the culture, and I know that also the people that were here, they love that kind of thing. It's just I feel like the people that came from like New York, LA, Texas, all over the world,
Right.
they want more than just a party scene.
Right.
They want to see things. They want to see, performances. They want to, go to a museum. They want to like explore, right? They don't want to just be in that party scene. So I feel like that's a little bit of a difference. It's happening. I think it's just stick with it just a little bit longer. We're making it great. It's going to be great.
Ah,
But it's going to be make it great.
that's what
We're
make Miami great
again.
again.
Oh
Yeah,
my God,
I love it.
It's our own version of it. I want to ask you about your kind of like life and death situation, like your
Oh,
near
my
death.
near-death experience.
Tell me about that.
I think I mentioned earlier on this podcast the greatest thing that I took away from my San Francisco experience was him. Where are you going? Are you going to go down now? Is that what we're doing? Sir?
Maybe you're stretching.
Oh, there we go. Very dramatic happenings. I was going through a heartbreaking breakup with the person I thought or I had convinced myself was like the love of my life. Don't even want to get into that about like why not. The group of friends that took his side, my group of friends that took his side, stabbed me in the back for having a strong belief system that went in contrast to their drug addiction, for lack of better term, which transpired into me losing my dream job in San Francisco, and then me finally being like, I need to just step away and go home. My brother was about to have his firstborn, so I literally hopped on the red eye to make sure I wasn't absent for my brother's firstborn's birth. Like that was what catalyzed me to going back to Washington for this trip. Also, though I was really going through it and I wasn't emotionally in the right place. Like my life in San Francisco was like party, party, work hard, party, party. So lots of drugs, lots of alcohol, lots of prescription drugs too, like to balance all this erraticness. A lot of this experience, in addition to the near death experience that I'm about to talk about, eventually led to me being sober. It's just like things that don't serve any of us really well when you are focused on being a better version of your yesterday self every day. After the first few days or week in Washington, my parents decided to go to their beach house and I went away with them. Wiley was still in San Francisco, by the way. I was still with my ex. Like, we were still living together. I just needed to get the fuck out. When I was at the beach house, like, I was really going through it. I was very depressed, and all of the emotional distress and the chemical imbalance that was in my system from all of this and just the non-maturity of it all. Like, I had never really fallen flat on my fucking face without support, especially with like my parents. So that first night, I was basically telling them at dinner, and it just wasn't resonating with them. And I even look back to this day like, God, why didn't you hear me when I said literally straight to your face that I don't want to wake up tomorrow morning? Like, meaning like sometimes I just want to end it. Like, and it wasn't like I want to kill myself. It was more like I just want it to be over because I was going through such a hard time and I couldn't see any light in this situation. They kind of brushed it off. They're very tough love, and I appreciate them about that. I'm also very tough love, but like, it just really wasn't how I would have responded to my child if I were to have a child saying that. So naturally, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go out tonight. I'm going to take an Uber. I'm going to go to the gay town 15 minutes away. I'm going to have male attention because I'm craving male attention. Guys, this is a really dramatic story. I'm not going to lie. Like, and it really impacted me. But long story shorter, that night I went out. I was still drinking at the time. I ordered a kettle soda, which was my vodka of choice at the time. And then like at some point after that first kettle soda, I was at a Rehoboth Beach, like cabaret bar. It wasn't like some crazy club. Blackout. Blackout in hindsight was roofie. This was the third time at this bar that I was roofied. Blackout visions later was being in some neighborhood street, being aggressively raped, for lack of better term, on the street. Again, hindsight, because you don't remember this stuff. Finding my way to an Uber with my shoes in my hand to then get back to my parents' house later in that night, to have left my shoes in either the Uber, to which he dropped it on the driveway, or I just left them on the driveway because my parents brought these shoes to me later. In fact, I finally gave those shoes away recently. I didn't even think of that. To me, remembering that I like stumbled into my parents' house, grabbed a glass of wine, smoked some weed, like what a fucking mess I was. But you got to do what you got to do. To then not remember what was to happen next, but long story again shorter, because it took me very many months after this accident that I'm about to tell you that happened to remember what happened, to remember that rapey situation, to remember that in the middle of the night, I got up and I threw up in the toilet. And when I was getting up from the toilet, I slipped with the bath mat under me and shattered my skull on the side of the bathtub into 18 pieces. God. Which the next day didn't occur to me. I had a very black eye puddling over here, but an excruciating pain on this side. With like all these mixed things, my parents coming to be like, are you okay? What the hell happened to you? What's going on? Why is your eye black? And I just kept saying like, oh no, I'm just hungover. I don't even know. Of course, like this wasn't the first time alcohol had been a problem. My parents immediately projecting on like, party this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. I didn't realize at the time that I was raped and drugged, which like has happened 3 times from that bar, one of which like, I don't even want to talk about that story, but like my mom was very aware because she walked in on it happening, like crazy shit. But again, like I said, these were outcomes of choices that I made, like I did choose to go out. I'm not blaming this on me fully, but these were choices I made. Me leaning on chemical dependency was a choice of mine. Me getting in an accident and all this stuff that had happened wasn't necessarily my choice, but it was a result of my choices. Long story short, because I won't talk about how I got rushed to like the urgent care, which then they discovered that I was hemorrhaging blood in my skull and I had to be in an ambulance for 2 hours because there was no proper hospital by the beach in order to get to the nearest city to then have an emergency life-saving brain surgery, which I was told may or may not have to happen that night. But my heart almost stopped twice. So I had to make that choice when they got me conscious to be like, we either operate or you probably will die, So like all of this going on while I'm already going through like a loss of job, a loss of love, a loss of friends, a loss of my California dream. It was just a lot.
Could you remember, like, when did you start remembering what actually happened that night?
Okay, well, that stuff that happened like the day after the accident, like, like when my parents were like, what happened to you? And like me getting driven to the urgent care and me in the ambulance on a gurney and me like in and out of exam rooms and CAT scans and like feeling like I was on an alien ship. I remember all those things very firsthand. It wasn't until like probably like 5 months later that I started piecing together, because I did for many months, kept going back to like, why is this happening to me? All of this. Like, why did Paul do this to me? Why did my friends do this to me? Like, why did my job do this to me? Like, why did the world do this to me? And then finally, why did I forcibly need to move across the country back to the city that I was trying to escape because I just wasn't jiving with being a local celebrity or with the identity I created for myself or the lack of creativity there? Like, all these things that were so on me, which led to my fall in love with something new every day. You know, like I literally have no choice. I did very quickly and mature and grow and take this near-death experience and really switch the narrative to like, let's visit this this heartbreak and this hardship that I'm going through, and let's get to know her inside, and let's not, woe is me. Not a cute look, at least for me. Like, certainly victimizing your own sense of self. Like, I think my story is fucking hard enough as is for most of you to tolerate. Like, I'm not the victim any longer. You know, like every single step of this was a result of my own choice. And that's one thing that is, you are all in control of your own life. You can't control the things that, you know, you can't control if a bus hits you. So it was a process. This was a process. So like I've learned all this stuff going through all this. When I started to appreciate and enjoy the present moment, because I did almost die, which was probably this happened on June 25th, 24th, 25th, 2016. So it was around like August 17th that I started to appreciate the days. And even though I had these metal like staples and these big stitches and this huge scar that I have on the side of my head, like I was starting to embrace it and get over it, even though I am vain, but I had no choice. No choice. It already happened. My biggest fear was ever growing up was that my brain would see the light of day. Like literally, ironically. And then of course, like Humpty Dumpty fucking fell. And like the universe dragged my ass down to reality.
But also, like, I mean, I feel like, yes, I agree with you. Like, we are in control, right? But not always we're in control of the things that happen to us. And that's where society comes. And that's where people's, like, without getting into too much, you know, I know this is something, it's a hurtful topic for you, but like, they didn't have to do that to you anyway.
It was the greatest thing that has ever happened to me. Like, I don't even look at this being hurtful. It sounds hurtful, but what I have done, first of all, very shortly after, within 9 months, like I was full-time working for myself at this point. Like after working for Bow Concept again, after then shifting to Design Within Reach, which was a more well-known American brand, which was iconic mid-century, which I'm so proud in my new home. I was able to buy all this fancy shit finally this year. To then realizing like, I do have this strong platform here in Washington. I was invited 6 months after this accident, maybe 7 months, the MGM there reached out to me to handle Cher's tour. They knew me from years past, and they were like, oh, Timur is like the LGBT influencer, the PR guy, you know? So like once I had that experience and like sort of was put back on my pedestal and saw how much my audience there just really loves and genuinely cared for me and valued me, I didn't feel the sense I have to run away anymore. And I embraced the fact that it was this place that I ran away from that gave me everything that I've had, you know, that taught me all of this stuff. So it was such a significant mindset shift, you know, not to mention like going through heartbreak from a boyfriend and a group of friends and the loss of a job and the loss of a home and the near loss of a life all at the same time. There are no words, and this isn't a pity party, and this is not a pissing competition, but if you haven't gone through every single one of those things at the same time, addiction as well, let's add that one in there because it was, like, I quite possibly went through almost all of the hardships that are the hardest things for you to go through independent of themselves, let alone collectively, or just a couple of them at the same time. So if you're able to thrive, which is a term that I came up with from this because of this stuff, you can do anything. And you also, especially when you almost die and you lose everything that values you in your everyday life, your lover, your home that you worked so hard to make so beautiful for two of you, your friends that you worked hard years and years to develop a new group of friends as an adult. Do you know how hard that is to move to a new city and do that? You do.
Yes.
You're here.
I'm here.
But
yes.
like, you kind of lose it all my dream job being the cultural engineer for the largest real estate development project west of the Mississippi, like literally being the cultural czar of a neighborhood. Like, I mean, like,
But that's the thing. You weren't that. Like, it's not that you weren't that. You were you. You could survive regardless of that. And I think that that's kind of what you learned, right? Like, you are amazing your own way. You don't need those things. You don't need those people to, like, you don't need those situations. And is that something like that you kind of had to, because I would imagine after you lose everything, you kind of have to figure out like, who am I?
yeah.
Right? Was it something that you always like, you already knew before that? I mean, I'm assuming you did, because if you're showing up to an interview and you're like, I'm assuming that you already did. But what were the things that really kind of, after losing all of that, that you say that really, what was the biggest lesson there for you?
The biggest lesson was taking accountability for my choices. Like the greatest thing that I learned from all of this is taking a step backwards and going inside and talking to her, that person that was the victim, and like the person that was in so much pain and so sad and just so confused. Like the whole, like, why is this happening to me? Like, rather than running away and maintaining that, like, I sat and I like got to know her. I didn't rush to like being back to who I was. I knew that my life was going to be forever changed from this experience, no matter how much you tried to put on a smile and like grow from it. Like, even to this day, my skull still feels like it's loose, like it's, you're beautiful, like if it shatters, like it feels different, So like I'm reminded every day multiple times, even when I lay down or when someone touches my hair, like it's numb, like it's different. So thank you for that reminder. But like taking accountability for the choices that led to these outcomes, like, like you said, like, sure, you can't control the world around you, but you can certainly be conscious of your choices. So whether you're like blacking out drunk, or whether you are not looking both ways when you're crossing the street, or whether you're choosing to overlook that your client or employer is crazy Trump supporting psychopath, but you're there for money, which is something I recently also learned, and I also learned this in the San Francisco experience, but I was trying it out again, where I was overlooking that I was kicking people that lived in the same neighborhood for 30 or 40 years under rent control under $1,000 a month to kick them out of their home and their security space to make way for $5,000 a month apartments. Like, I had a $250,000 bonus that I was going after, and I kind of sold myself out, just like I sold my values out to work for someone that had such strong, very, very outspoken beliefs, but like you live, you learn, and it's okay to try things again. And it's okay to learn a lesson twice or three times. Like, don't be so hard on your fucking self. But being able to be accountable for your decisions is the most important thing. And then the second thing is like the present tense, like I was saying earlier. Like, there is no other time like the presence, you guys. So like lurking in the past is not going to serve you well, and pining for the future will never come. But present tense conscious, like I am literally living my dream right now, you guys. I envisioned living in a fancy condo in Miami, driving fancy cars with these beautiful clothes and with suntan all year long, running the marketing department for what will be the next biggest global social media network. Like, come on. Like, these are all things that I put on my mood board many years ago. And don't forget your present tense for past context. Grade yourself, check yourself, intention, like you said, like being mindful and being present and being intent.
Right.
You have one life to live, like, and it can end in any moment, literally. Ellen, you and I could literally lights out for no reason right now.
Yeah.
Like the plug in the matrix going kaput. Like, and tomorrow is not guaranteed, period. So like learning that lesson, which is a lot.
When did you move to Miami? When did Miami happen after that? And the things that you were talking about that you have now, you said you put in your mood board.
Right.
How did it all come about?
Okay, let me talk about this one. So I didn't brush up on the fact, except for earlier, that I've been part-time in Miami since 2009. So I was always snowbird winter dweller here, or like very frequent visitor, like come spend many weeks a winter, if not like 6 or 7 or 8, that kind of vibe. When I lived in San Francisco, many people would ask me, what do you miss most about Washington? And my answer would be Miami. And even from all the way over there, which 6 hour flight was much harder to get to during the winter or whatever, I would still come, I would still bring friends, whatever. The first airplane trip that I went on after my traumatic head injury was for Art Basel 2016 here in Miami with what was my roommate after this accident, Kristen, at the time. And the first drink of alcohol I had after that accident was a champagne at the Admiral's Club. I think that was actually the only thing I drank because it just lost taste for it after like an accident, which kind of was caused by me being drunk and drugged. But like the alcohol started first, like if it wasn't for me ordering that drink, so many years past that all this stuff, like, it is what it is. My first trip, which I was so excited about, was to come back to Miami, my happy place of many years. I always felt so much better about myself being here, surrounded by the energy, the color, the creativity, the Latino energy, just the like laissez-faire, carefree vibes here, the party, the energy. I was coming back with a very new perspective, though. It was very clear when I came back that I need to be here, but I just got back to Washington and I'm still figuring my shit and my life out. So really wasn't until 2018 that I was able to get my own apartment here again, and I had to rebuild myself a little bit. And I knew I was in my young 30s at the time. I knew I had to like make a plan to get there, and earn my way there again. So Washington, as always, really like reinvested in me. It really gave me my sense of self and confidence back. It helped me rebrand Timur Tugberk Events, Interiors, and Media to designing the district and start to excel and succeed doing PR, marketing, events, and design, what I still do.
Which makes a lot of sense when you come to Miami too, because that's a lot of what it is, right?
Right.
So how did you bring that here?
So my first professional foray into Miami, which funded my second home before I fully relocated here, was interior design. And it is my passion and it is what I love and have so much fun doing, so much more than marketing and PR, even though I'm so good at it and I love it. Design is what I love the most. And it's so fun and it's really not that stressful, comparatively speaking. But pandemic really kicked it for me, which is like, why do you have two homes? Like, you're never in Washington. Like, you got stuck during like the lockdown up there. Like, it was Black Lives Matter. It was Trump 1.0. It was like, we all recall pandemic. It was a lot. And being in Washington, which felt like the global epicenter of everything. Oh, and the doggy agrees. It was time to like close up fully up there and move here full time. Full time. Like, I was already here full time, but I still had my toes in the door up there. So, designing the district, relocated down south.
So you came to Miami you decided to really fully commit to Miami, let go of, because we all know that kind of mentality, like, or, that kind of mindset, because I came here for the first time. I was like, never going to move there, never going to live there. And then during the pandemic, I came too, and then I was like, okay, maybe I'll live here. I think we all kind of had to let go of this. But so you came, so you really, you were already introducing designing the district to Miami, and then you fully committed in 2018.
Yeah. So in 2018, as a business owner, I had enough income being generated in Miami to justify having a second home and a second office here and a second car, like legit investment. And that's where I spent most of my time here, but it was like still very plugged into Washington because I was making so much money there and my family's there. So it always has been a tough band-aid to rip. But during pandemic time, I just kept maintaining those multiple homes. But that was the easiest kicker because it was harder to travel and this and that and whatever. So it was helped me streamline my life. It was a little nerve-wracking because my security blanket of Washington, especially money-wise, I'm from there. I've always worked for myself in Washington, either as a full-time side hustle or corporately before I moved to San Francisco. So strong foundation professionally and personally there. Definitely a safety net up there,
What industries, though, do you really see kind of coming here? The ones that you have noticed that you think that are going to last a little bit longer?
Fashion, entertainment, finance, hospitality, obviously, but like elevated.
Tech.
Elevated. I'm hearing tech, but I'm not noticing.
But it's getting.
But
it's getting there.
but also like I've lived in my hometown in Washington, which has a lot more tech presence,
Yeah.
you know?
I noticed, I think the people that work in tech are coming here. So, for example, like a lot of the women in our community, they work for tech companies, but
That's
they're
cool.
living here because they can work remotely.
Right,
So, I
right.
think a lot of the people in tech are
Right.
here, not necessarily just the
That I've
companies.
noticed. I'm
Yeah.
speaking specifically to
The act-
industry shifts. A
Mhm.
lot of, and myself, I work in tech.
Yeah.
I'm trying to persuade us at least to open the marketing department here in Miami because I'm not moving to New York. I'm not moving back to the Bay Area. We'll never say never. Never. My intention and my desire is not there. However, who am I to control the best shape of the future
No, we're
for
gonna
myself?
keep you here.
Yeah.
I feel like you have so much more to
Well,
bring to the table
even
here.
the way I started here, you guys, as a burgeoning entrepreneur, like I figured out a way to manage investing and having a home in Washington and one here at a young age while I was only a few years into working for myself exclusively. So at the rate I'm going, first of all, I have no intent on leaving. The weather really does keep me here. It is very much that. It really is the weather. I could care less about some of the other things, and I brush off the things I don't like because of the weather. But also, my intent for myself is I want to be a multimillionaire. Like I really do want to be that bitch. And if it costs me social life in order to focus and have that solitude and professional focus, so be it. I get so much joy out of this professional self that I built and I created. I'm not trained marketer. As you all know, I was telling you the story of my career before I even got to the point of inserting myself in corporate setting, learning from that, in agency setting, learning from that, in real estate development and major development landscape, learning from that, and applying it to things that allowed me to venture off on my own.
Tell me a little bit more about that, though, because I know that we've talked in the past and we went over some of those shifts
Right.
in your career and also like some of pretty personal things that happened to
Right.
you, you know?
Right. So let's dive into that. I have always been an experiential learner. I'm a people person. I've been smart too. Like I always did so well in school. I'm just kind of lazy. You know, I wasn't in high school or college to be like honor society, and like I didn't really care about my GPA. I slayed, of course. Like I definitely didn't go beneath a B, you know, or a B plus, but I just didn't care. I was there to have fun and learn and play, and I'm still that way. But I'm definitely like a fake it till you make it and prove yourself, you know, and prove yourself based on the metrics that are important. Like go against your own year over year, day over day. Don't compare yourself to other people, but outshine. That's a way to prove it. Outshine. So when I finally learned enough about marketing through having my own business since 2005, like we were talking about, it seems 17 hours ago, during that recession, all I was craving was a Monday through Friday salary job. I didn't care, you know, working for myself as a promoter and this like untrained marketer and having that ambiguity of tomorrow and no health care, you know, is a little stressful. And thankfully, I had great parents to help cushion my fall and support me in the ways that I required of them, you know, but you have to grow up at some point. So inserting myself in my first corporate job in healthcare, technology, marketing. It was two industries I had no
I
experience.
cannot imagine you working healthcare.
I know,
I don't know why.
I know, right? Neither can I, except I did it and I loved it and I slayed it. I really took the opportunity to fake it till I make it and force myself to learn from everyone around me, you know?
What way? Like, what were the things that you didn't know that you had to learn?
I mean, I had no corporate cadence whatsoever. I had no, like, what was it like to show up at 9:30 in a cubicle and, like, wear an outfit, like a, you know, like professional attire and, like, present to multiple businesses, meetings, I'm sorry, and hold webinars and like none of that. Like it was literally basic shit. In addition to how do we market healthcare? How do we market software as a service technologies? How do we resonate messaging with doctors, with CIOs, with CMIOs, with CTOs? How do we market to physicians and nurses? Like, girl, my experience marketing was like my followers and people that wanted this like fabulous fashionable life or like the nightlife experience or the food experiences or the art and design, like things that I currently do now still. But like I was the one creating the narrative and speaking to the audience that I created. I wasn't speaking on other people's behalf before. I was speaking through my lens on their behalf. Like, this is why you come here, you know? Which is what marketing is. Obviously, if you're a talented marketer, like, you use your lens and you speak on their behalf.
And I think that's something beautiful about marketing is that no one knows what's going on most of the time. It's like things shift so much, things change so much that it really allows that room for you to kind of go in and be like, hey, I figured it out, or I'm figuring it out, but we'll get there.
It's always changing. Like, marketing, people, mindset, trends, politics, it's all changing. You really got to pivot.
Yeah, and I'm sure, like, even if they were to hire someone who has experience, like, who had experience with healthcare, marketing healthcare, probably wouldn't be relevant anymore.
Look, in contrast to my former colleagues, like, I certainly was the most colorful and unique and different person, but they did hire me for that, to bring it was both like a win-win for both of us. So I don't want to be too lengthy with this one, but it was really great for me to apply my social media savvy. And at that time, we were still arguing to execs the value of social media. Like, they didn't understand it. Just like few years ago, we've been arguing the value of influencer marketing. So it's like things keep changing. And like in marketing, you always have to argue. Like, we have to be speaking this way, and we need to be doing this way, and we need to be interacting with people here. Like, that is what marketing is. People don't understand marketing a lot of times. They don't. People think like, oh, we have a great product, that's enough. Well, how the hell is everyone going to know about your fucking product? You know? Like, this is how. So, like, I took a lot of my event and my social media and my creative experience, and I applied it to this multi-million-dollar business, and I was able to increase revenue through an events marketing and social media strategy, which married my colorful safe space with my extremely uncomfortable out-of-the-box healthcare technology experience, I guess, for lack of a better term, lack of experience for a better term. And somehow it worked, you know? It worked. And then when I got really comfortable playing and coloring within their lines as much as I could, because of course, like, you know, you can't put baby in a corner. I've learned over many years of having 2 to 3 to 4 year jobs with different businesses, like, just like, I was meant to work for myself. I was meant to scribble well beyond outside of the lines. And I'm so grateful for what that corporate experience gave me, because it really did shove me in a box. So I understood the box. And that's what I took away from it most, was like, oh, these are the boxes. This is how normal Americans are doing business. This is the format. This is the structure. This is the cadence. This is the tone. These are the value systems. This is the reporting mechanisms. This is the hierarchy of employee and bureaucracy within organizations like this, or similar to this, or different. Corporate, you know, technology, healthcare. I was able to meet and interact with all of these different stakeholders in the different industries that we worked in and targeted. So that also groomed me to be able to shift my tone and mindset, both in person and digitally speaking. So I'm a super smart guy. I am. And I value my experience tremendously. Just like when I'm looking to hire you all, I want to know what your superpower is and how you can apply it to my needs.
All right, so we've made alterations here. Now it's my turn to co-parent, and I'm loving it because sometimes I just need a little dog. Oh my God, I'm sucking at it.
You can push him to where you want him to be.
There we go.
Is he good?
Oh.
All right, bye, doggy.
Well, so
what were we just talking about?
Yes, about like when you're looking to hire people.
Exactly. Like the way that I've looked at it, and even down to this corporate job I was just talking about, like, I think what stood out the most to them, outside of me wearing pink pants and a crushed blue velvet blazer and some sort of pink pastel-y plaid shirt and a bow tie to the interview with a tongue ring and bleach blonde hair in a suburban cubicle office park office, was that I had a unique perspective on marketing, and I had a unique skill set which they had never applied before. And I look at individuals that way too, and I really am expanding and growing my team fairly rapidly in a dynamic social media, tech, and community development standpoint. So if anyone is interested and ambitious and motivated and driven for real though, not just a little pat on your back, but like ready to commit to something so big, please hit me up. I am actively hiring, and I would love to welcome other superpowers to this team.
Oh my God.
You know.
I think that you would find a lot of great people in our community. So
Oh, I'm excited.
we're going to make it happen.
Come
we're going
on,
to
new
make
Miami
we're
girls.
gonna, build that bridge. I
I
love that.
I do love working with women too. I'm not trying to generalize,
Yeah.
but I feel like we kiki well. Like we have a different but shared experience sometimes, and it's easier for me as a gay man to work. Not to say I don't work well with men. All the other men out there. Hi, guys. Hello, Fernando. But I would welcome the new Miami girls to my little, big, quickly growing environment.
You heard it, girls. You heard it first.
Yes!
There we go. I love that. But you know what? Let me ask you this one thing, and this is a question that I think I'm not an influencer, right? I mean, you could call me an influencer just because of the community and everything that I influence, I guess. But I don't really live that life of an influencer. I don't post much. I don't like on my personal page and of my personal life. But I do know, and I am in the influencer circles and the content creators. I do know that. I think that's how I first heard about you. You were like invited for an event or something like this. I think it was the office, the Barbie.
Oh yeah, the Barbie.
Yes, it was the Barbie one.
Almost 2 summers ago.
Yes,
oh
it was a really long time.
The Barbie Dream Office.
Yes,
that's it.
That one. And I feel like a lot of the girls watching this, especially the influencers, they're gonna be like, Ellen, please help me figure out how I can grab his attention for like. And that's like, okay, that sounded so pick me of me. They're not pick me, but kind of like, what do you look for in influencers to both like work in the marketing campaigns that you do or in the different projects that you have? Like, what do you look out for?
Okay. Well, this is actually like a subject du jour because yesterday I had 2 extremely stressful experiences with clients about the influencers that I brought in. And so, ladies and gentlemen, whomever's watching, professionalism is the most important thing. So you are not a celebrity and you are not a queen and diva. We all are celebrity queens and divas, okay? But it's professional at the end of the day. So you need to be mindful. When people like me, PR agencies are the gatekeeper, you are reflecting us as much as you are reflecting you. And if you are invited to do something, you show up on time. First and foremost, you show up professionally and you understand the assignment and you are open to and agreeing to the collaboration, not argumentative and no attitude. Like, there are a lot of influencers out there and you're not the only one. Period.
Give me an example of the attitude.
Just like, okay, 2 things that happened yesterday. One was at a dinner that I invited them to yesterday and was being rude to the servers about like apparently seeing a piece of paper towel in an empanada or something. Like, you have a choice the way you can behave, and you are whether you're Kim Kardashian, Donald Trump, or whomever, that does not entitle you to behave poorly, period. You were invited into someone else's home, you respect them, period, whether it's a business or an actual house. And then yesterday, which was to no fault, one of my influencers, her tire blew out on the freeway and she called the client. But then the client went off on me about these influencers always being late. And I was like, guys, she emailed us literally videos of her busted tire. Like, I don't control, but here's the email I sent the night before that instructs people to arrive early to honor time. But like, it's become such a pattern where like, Miami girls especially, like, you're always fucking late. Like, bitch, it's a job.
I feel attacked because all my friends know I'm like, it is, again, it's not like I disrespect people's time. It's not. I'm like the person who worries about that the most. Like, I worry even more than the people that are on time. The thing is, I'm always doing so many different things, and I feel like people here are always doing so many different things that it's just so hard to like kind of pin it down and kind of like, okay, now is the time that I'm gonna go, I'm gonna leave. And then things are changing too. Traffic didn't used to be this bad when I first moved here. It's getting worse.
It's bad in winter. Just wait till summer. It'll be 10 minutes to get anywhere again.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, I know.
Oof. But I feel I have, that's probably another reason why I couldn't be an influencer. I'll be late. but
Well, but there's a difference between showing up to an event late and there's a difference between showing up to a one-on-one collaboration or a reservation late. You know?
right.
So, like, if I'm inviting you for a Botox filler collaboration with a doctor with a functioning doctor's office with patients, you showing up an hour late is not acceptable. Like, period. I do not want to work with you any longer because you're making our job harder and you're not
Yeah.
respecting the fact that we trust you to do your job correctly and professionally. So first and foremost, be professional and take it seriously. And like, entitlement is the last attractive thing, whether you're professional, personal, romantic, familial, anything. So like, scrap that attitude, Gen Z.
You think it's a Gen Z thing?
It's not just a Gen Z, but like, these people that actually work for me, like, the entitlement is so crazy. Like, the entitlement to like raises over you feeling you deserve versus what you've actually earned. And like, I'm so sorry, but it took me many years to develop the experience to get where I am. You are not me. You are not at my level. Just because you work hand in hand with me, you are not. I'm 20 years older than you. Like, there's a lot of experience that goes into being able to do the things that I do. A lot of people develop a sense of professional ego so quickly because either A, their leader, like myself, applauds them and congratulates them because that is how many of you have been nurtured and groomed.
The millennial managers.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But I have to communicate that way versus me being a hard-ass tough cookie, which is what I'd rather be. You're dropping the ball. You are not showing up the way I need you. This is your job, you know?
I was thinking about this a lot this week. I am known by my team, by people that work with me, by being a little bit too easy on everyone. And almost to the point in which even the people that work for me, they're like, Ellen, like, you need to be a little bit harder on people. Like, you need to, like, we need them to move. Like, and I feel as though I'm overcompensating for, you know what I mean, for how I used to be and how I used to feel in certain situations. So I'm kind of overcompensating, making sure that but it's backfiring sometimes. How do you balance this kind of, because you're out there being social, you are in events, you're doing everything, you're working. How do you balance this, having those times alone, but also having to, go out there and network?
It's really hard, to be honest, and I struggle with this all the time. It's like a sense of self and identity and logic and reasoning and perspective. And it's like, am I putting the boundary in front of me and that's why I'm feeling and acting this way? Or am I observing this boundary I need because of actually what's happening around me? It's honestly, that's why I left DC when I hit local celebrityism the first time. Was like, I found it really hard in my 20s to navigate that everybody knew who I was and like everyone assumed who I was based on the presentation they were getting online and in person specifically. And it's the same to this day. And even in San Francisco and here when I relocated and was trying my hardest just to be normal, for lack of a better term, like there's no fucking normal. Like, okay.
Sorry, but that's never going to happen with you. It's never going to happen. Your personality, people are just always going to be obsessed sooner or later.
I mean, I hear you on that, but then it's like, then why am I single? And like, why do I struggle with having a crew of friends? And sure, I look back on preschool, elementary, and middle and high school, and I've always been friends with everybody. I've never been one clique. I've certainly had groups that I've leaned in more so, but like, I need to cut myself some slack on this one. But that's also why I enjoy my alone time, because like, it's hard. It's not easy. It's really not easy, guys. Like, I think I posted on my sobriety post about this the other day that like, y'all, I still struggle with this same thing. And like I am a confident person, but it's not a facade, but also being raw and like having feelings and not understanding how and why the world responds to me in the ways that I would hope either you all didn't respond to me or that you would invest more in investing in me as a person rather than a brand or as what I project myself to be, because they're all valid. What I project myself to be is me. And maybe I'm just a dick or an asshole or like I'm not giving to it.
And who cares?
I'm thinking like, ways like, am I closing myself off? Am I working too much? Am I putting myself out there too much? And I have celebrity friends, much bigger platforms. And they also share a lot of the sentiment, but they also have other perspectives on things. And so I'm always learning.
You have to give yourself grace, though.
True, true. And sometimes that grace is smoking some weed and hanging out with my dog and interacting with my TikTok friends.
There you go. You're still thriving, and you're still, look, you're being able to set those boundaries and, put yourself first, but you're still doing things, right? You're still thriving. So that goes to show to a lot of people it's possible, right?
I think the point is, and again, please don't take this as a pat on my own back, but it is an expression. But like they say, it's very lonely at the top. Mm-hmm. And I see that. And like I said earlier, I've had this plan of self-greatness my entire life. And the point isn't about, look at me, look at me. That's not the point. I want to be able to impact as many people as possible in a positive way. That is my intention. That is all. I want to leave a mark on this planet that's not Hitler or Trump mark. Okay? I want to bring joy, and I want to help everyone live better life through whatever messaging, whether it's my story of my head and my sobriety journey, or whether it's through creating a community, digital community for hundreds of millions of people where you can exist and be creative and talk and have a cultural vibe that serves everyone appropriately, whatever that mark is. But that's always been my intent. And I've always dreamt of being a self-made success story. I'm a self-taught marketer. I'm a self-taught publicist. Like y'all know, at Dr. First, I figured my shit out in healthcare. And when I joined Fathom Creative as the first director of marketing for this agency, and I built a marketing department at 27, 28, 20, 29 years old on my own, which I'd never done before. This was all stuff that I threw spaghetti at the wall and I figured out. So measuring success based on yourself is what I always recommend people. And this has always been my dream. I literally am living my dream. To answer your question a little bit ago that I didn't finish. That question when people are like, if you won the lottery, what would you do? What's the first thing you would do? My first thing is really hire a full-time masseur because I need it so bad. Just stay on call for me. Yeah. But really what I used to say is I would go to the Porsche dealership, buy a Porsche, and drive to Miami and buy a condo in the sky. And I have had a Porsche. I got rid of it because it was a lot of maintenance. But, I have that fancy condo in the sky in Miami. I'm literally living my own dream. I didn't win the lottery, but I created the lottery for myself. Hard work does pay off. And that was the other thing about checking in with yourself and just being present and mindful with your intentions, everything that I'm living in is a result of what I engineered my past, future, tomorrow to be, which I'm currently living in. And the results of that, whether it's, I have my very close group of selective best friends and my parents' observation, my loneliness or choice for that, the introspection and introvertedness like you are. Trust me, I value my me time. I'm always out, always doing things with others, But these are results of my choices. Just like how I ended up at the heartbreak before. The road to success, however you deem that, is not easy. And if you're conscious and cognizant enough to be aware of when it's happening while it's happening, and that that the 5 years from now self is going to look back on this moment and really understand what is happening and value that, you will succeed. No matter what your goal is, whether it's Mother of the Year or corporate social media exec or entrepreneur, PR marketing agency owner, or all of those things, or none of those things,
I love the way you put it, because a lot of people would say, okay, what would your past self think of that? You're saying no, your future self is going to look back and be just like we do, right? It's going to look back and be like, that was it, baby. You were living it, right? And not that things are going to get worse, right? But things change, right? It's the moment, it's the opportunity. And right now we're in the city and everything's happening and you got to go and get it. So just to close things off here, let's grab the boy. Any other exciting projects that you're working on?
Well, I'm really excited, of course, to be fully maintaining designing the district here in Miami. And I am very happy and grateful to maintain cosmetic wellness in my world. I've worked with med spas, plastic surgeons, and beauty brands for 16 years now. And we are amidst launching Avabello Aesthetics on Miami Beach, which is a plastic surgery and med spa at 5th and Washington. We'll have a grand opening in April, but we are open, and I'm loving that I still get to work in that while I build a social media platform. We are representing Our House Wynwood, which is a LGBT establishment, one of the most well-known drag institutions in the United States, and one of 2 queer spaces located in the most immediate Miami proper in Wynwood. My client, Carmen Carrera, she's in The Real Housewives of Miami, season 3 of Drag Latina, which is streaming on Reverie. The Paradiso Theater, which is a performing arts experience. Cirque du Soleil meets dinner theater in Miami Beach on Lincoln Road.
Let us know.
Oh, please come. Please come.
Things are changing. I'm telling you, things are changing, and you are part of that. So I would say, please don't leave us. Not yet.
No, I'm
At
not
least,
leaving.
DC can wait for a little
I'm not
bit.
going to DC.
You still have so much work to do here. And I admire so much how you're able to share all this stuff. And I think that it is going to help a lot of people. And we're just so excited to see what's next for you. Part 2 coming.
Oh,
Okay, we're going to talk
about.
about everything, Neptune, how it's going. I can't wait. Before you go, where can people go to find the latest projects that you're working on?
Well, the best place you can always go on any platform is Timur DC on Instagram or TikTok or Neptune or Snapchat or Facebook or at gmail.com. That's an easy place to find me. And of course, you can always ask Ellen. She knows how to find me too.
There we go. Just DM. We got it. Thank you so much, Timur. I'm saying that wrong.
No, you're saying it correctly.
Thank you so much, Timur.
You're saying it correctly the whole time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Timur.
Thank you, Ellen.
You were amazing.
You are too.
And now I need Riley here every time.
Look at this face, though, for real.
Oh my god.
Like,
it's so
let's
cute.
like, he's wagging his tail. He knows
Oh,
we're talking
sorry,
about
yeah.
him.